Your future's bright. Don't let anybody deter you. You only fail when you quit. Learn from every mistake. Believe in yourself. Find your community. Very, very, very important.
I'm Datavio Samuels, CEO of REVOLT, and this is the Blackprint, the show that dives into the blueprint for Black success. Every episode, I sit down with talented CEOs, entrepreneurs, and industry experts to explore their journeys to the top. This is the Blackprint. Welcome to the Blackprint. Here we start off every episode the exact same with my favorite quote. Everybody sees you on the mountaintop. Not everybody sees you on the climb. This is the show where we talk to the ceiling breakers, the rule breakers, the disruptors about their climb to the top. And today I'm blessed to have my brother, straight from Atlanta, my man Tunde Balogun. What's good, King?
I'm all right, man. I'm doing well, doing real good.
Thank you, man. Thank you for coming to REVOLT Studios here in Atlanta. At REVOLT, as a philosophy, we believe that Black people need to be more and more in control of our own narrative, of our own stories. And so on the Blackprint, we make it an effort to not introduce our guests. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tunde Balogun, CEO, LVRN, Love Renaissance, home to some of your favorite artists. Going to be here speaking to my man about a whole bunch of concepts that really helped us build our company, global Blackness, how much we take care of our artists, and really interested in bringing y'all into my world. Let's go.
Yeah, I love this notion of global Blackness. When I first got to REVOLT, we were trying to figure out what our vision, what our strategy was going to be. And we very much anchored it in this idea of global Black. Yes, and so excited to talk to you about it. And then also, you know, there's just this consistent theme that you have when you look at your career and your work. And it is often surrounded with love, surrounded with care, kind of holistic love that you give your artists. So anyways, excited to talk about all that. Real quick, though, just so they know, name, you know, quickly a handful of your artists so that the people know.
Black, Summer Walker, Bella Gang Kush.
Okay. We just want to get it started. All right, so now we're going to go back to the beginning, right? So you grew up here in Atlanta. Help the people understand, what was life like for you growing up? Talk a little bit about your upbringing.
My upbringing was amazing, very Nigerian, which was in the sense of very strict, but very loving and caring. Raised by the village. When I say the village, it was aunts, uncles, close friends of the family who I call aunts and uncles out of respect. And it was a very loving atmosphere, but also there was always somebody around the corner to, you know, smack you upside the head if you got out of line. So raised all right.
Yeah. I love this notion of the village. I think for me, when I look at how we were raised compared to how a lot of the kids are raised today, I think we've lost a bit of that village. Talk to me about the benefit of being raised by a village.
The benefit really is just always having somebody there that you feel like can take care of you physically or emotionally. That there is never a void of anything. You know, we weren't rich monetarily, but we were rich with love and rich with family, which is the most important thing when it comes to raising a child. And I really do appreciate my family for that. I always say I didn't have my own space probably until I became an adult, because I have three other siblings, and then every weekend there was probably 15 other kids in my house, with myself taking care of my younger siblings, my older cousins and whatnot, and it was just a bunch of kids running around, playing around, and you know, that's pretty much my whole family. Whether it was our house, which was, I say, right here, and then my aunties and uncles' house, which was 3 other houses across the road. So yeah.
Are those blood aunties and uncles, or is that just Black folk? We call everybody aunties and uncles.
That is all real blood aunties and uncles.
How did that happen? How did it get to be where your family was?
It was intentional. My mom. It was really my mom's side. It was her brothers and sisters. So I live in a neighborhood in east side of Atlanta called Lakeside at Water's Edge. My uncle was across the street, and my 2 other aunts were on the street behind my uncle's house. So I would just walk through his spot over there. So whenever my parents were at work, because they like worked a lot, very, very hard working, which is where I get my drive from. You know, I could never really get out of anything because there's always somebody checking or like, where you at? You ain't where you supposed to be. Go over there. So, you know, it was cool.
Yeah. It's a lot harder
fun.
to get in trouble when the whole block is family,
That's
right?
a fact.
Okay, so you grew up with family on the block, but you also grew up in Atlanta, which is a very black city. You know, I'm new to Atlanta.
Welcome.
Thank you, brother. Like, I love it here, and one of the things that I love is it is absolutely Wakanda, where the mayor is black, your lawyers, your doctors, the people you want to be in business with are black. It's different. Talk to me about what it was like growing up in a very black city as a kid.
Yeah, it really does influence you, especially me. I was always into music very early because of my parents and myself. You know, sorry, but I used to finesse the BMG CD things and just get new packs all the time. I just run through all the everything. And, you know, growing up seeing DTP, So Def coming up in music and then seeing your whole community, you know, at that time, everybody had like a 4 or 5 bedroom home around there, you know, and it was just a sense of me not seeing what a lot of, honestly, black people in the rest of the country were probably going through. Wasn't how I was raised personally, and it really did have a positive effect because I've seen people who look like me do well, which really helped me picture myself in the same space overall, and that just drove me to pretty much attain the same or even reach higher and really push myself. So
yeah,
it's good.
One of the themes that I see in these conversations that I have is when you talk to people who were born abroad, Africa, West Indies, there's a certain confidence they have growing up in locations that are, you know, largely black. There's a certain energy, confidence, momentum that comes out of that. And I think the only place in the States where you can find something similar is here in Atlanta.
Our parents don't give us a choice in a sense of, and you may hear it, like Nigerian parents or African parents were very hard on their children because, to be honest, I know it's very different for Black Americans rooted here, but for us, our parents are like, you have a passport. You were born here. So you don't have to go through half the things that I had to go through, walking miles to school, you know, hungry. And everything's not about poverty. It's about the environment. And, you know, my parents did a lot to make sure I was able to be raised here. You know, I was actually born in Detroit, and not the best parts. And my parents worked hard, but like, we're going down to the South because we see a better opportunity. So the last thing they're gonna let me do is mess that up. So they were always in my head about, hey, things happen, things come up, but we need you to work hard and do your best to be the best you can be. And that really stuck with me. Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on in our culture. I feel like there are lots of groups that are at war, men fighting women, right? There's like the gender wars. Another thing that I see often is where you're from, right? Black Americans versus West Indians versus Africans. What was it like? And did you feel any of that tension growing up, being African, but in a city that was largely black?
Of course, you know, kids are mean. You know, me, myself having a very African name. My full name is Tunde Balogun. So, you know, first day of school, teacher saying your name wrong, all types of stuff, but I also built tough skin for myself. And then also just starting to get educated about where I'm from and whatnot helped me gain a lot of confidence. But also just like, after a while, it really didn't get offensive because it's really just people not understanding why my name is like this, especially with all the stuff we're programmed with. People haven't been to Africa. People really don't know how it seems. They just see safaris and animals. They don't understand that the same stuff we have here in America are there. And now since modern times, it's a lot different. Of course, even back then, the whole thing of Africa and the Caribbean, at that time, dance hall was running everything. So it was like, Africa what? It was all about the Jamaicans, the Trinidad. Sometimes I was like, damn, Jamaica's fire. I wish I was from there. That back then also led of why we're pushing our brand Jerkin Jollof right now, which is I would say it is the biggest Afro-Caribbean party in the world. It travels all over the world, about 50 or 60 events worldwide, and the whole purpose was to bring Africans and Caribbeans together, no matter where you're from. We serve food from both countries, so it's people from that background, also people who aren't from that background, because now that African and Caribbean culture is commercialized, people are very interested into it. So people come to our events to hear the music, to taste the food. So it's just more about us bringing everybody together. So it's dope.
We love Jerkin Jollof. As you know, we had them at Revolt World.
Yep, we appreciate that.
Back in 2024.
Yep.
To your point, we think it's a massive movement we're excited about. You talked about doing it to bring people together.
Yeah.
Why is it important to bring people together in this moment? Feels like kind of a unity play. What are you searching for in terms of building unity with Africa and people from the Caribbean?
It goes back to what I said about global Blackness, about us owning our own narrative, about us redefining what we think is ownership, about the systems that we use to build things. And by the way, it's not about color. It's more of about owning us and being proud of it and building our own things and sharing things amongst ourselves. My company is independent now. My investor, Matt Pincus, isn't Black. But he came in and saw a team that owned a 10,000 square foot building, built a company up for him to invest in a company worth over $100 million without any pre-capital at all. It's because we owned ourselves. We loved ourselves. So it's more about giving people something to like cheer on and to believe in themselves in, because so much that is spewed out now is to really bring us down. So it's more about giving us something to like really believe in.
Thinking about Jerkin Jollof, how did you get that idea off the ground? Like, not what was the inspiration, but what did it take to make that idea happen? How'd you get there?
Amazing question. That was not an original idea. It's something I invested in. Asante, who is one of my Ghanaian brothers, he's been doing Jerkin Jollof. It's about 2017. And it really gained this notoriety. It started off in Detroit. It gained this notoriety in COVID. They were doing house parties and whatnot. And after that, it just kind of exploded, because at that time, once again, Caribbean and African culture really started to get globalized and commercialized. And I saw that the Caribbeans and the Africans were really just starting to become friends. In the sense, it wasn't so much of a battle. It was more so that we didn't see the lines, and people, to be honest, the year of return in Ghana played a big part of me investing in that. And ultimately, the biggest part was I saw that after COVID, people wanted to be outside. People wanted to have a good time and enjoy, but not be in the same just go to the club every Friday. People wanted events. They wanted a concept. They wanted a purpose of why to go out. And what's a better purpose than like food and culture and music? So we did a party with Jerkin Jollof, I believe, Fashion Week 2022 in New York, and it was crazy. A bunch of celebrities pulled up, all my artists, DeVito, Brent Fayez was there, to the point that the like app reason to get tickets collapsed because there was too much traffic. And I was like, LVRN always does pretty great events, but this one was a bit more special because I saw everybody more so come for the concept of you're bringing African and Caribbean culture together. You're bringing really jollof rice and jerk chicken. So people who haven't had jollof rice want to taste it. Same thing with jerk chicken. And there was Black people, but it was also white people. And it was just a mix of people who just want to hear good music and like feel the culture. And I was like, yo, Asante, you want some money? Like, I was really like, yo, like, would you take an investment? I think we could really add some value to this, and we work it out, and now we're equal partners, and we're really helping to scale it. You know, in the last 2 years, we've done multiple events in Europe. We joined a festival in Australia. We had our own stage where we had 10,000 people show up every day for 2 days. We're like heavily involved in South Africa, Cape Town. This year we will be having a 2-day, I don't call it a festival, I say we're still the largest Afro-Caribbean party in the world, and we're bringing that to Cape Town December 31st and Jan 1st. And we are actually going to bring restaurants from Jamaica, restaurants from Trinidad, restaurants from Ghana, Nigeria, and all over Africa, so they can come experience different food and culture at our spot with the music. So, yeah.
As a businessman, you've built a lot in your career. Jerk and Jollof is an investment. How do you think about the difference between building something on your own, or the need to build something on your own, versus buying or acquiring or investing in something, right? That's not your original idea, but you still see magic in it and you have a desire to scale it.
Yeah.
In this stage in your career, are you building? Are you buying? Are you doing all of the above? Talk to me about how you're, like, kind of what your investment strategy looks like.
It's really about the time it's going to take to achieve the goal. Especially now when, you know, we're not scaling, we're not, LVRN's not there for scale. It's there for purpose and culture now. You know, we're building a legacy. Of course it's for us, but it's really for everyone. You know, I say right now my goal is to be a modern day Def Jam, in the sense of when it came up, it was Def Jam. It was so dope. They had Rockefeller, they had Murder Inc. I was like, man, I want to do that. Like, I want that a part of us. I want to help them build that. So, you know, it goes back to that with Jerk and Jollof. I want to help that grow. You know, I want to help the next label, entrepreneur or artist in Europe or in Africa, give them capital to grow. You know, in a sense, you'll never hear LVRN say LVRN Africa, LVRN Nigeria, LVRN South Africa. One, I don't think a creative wants to be aligned with the local version of a global company. Two, LVRN's already global in a sense. So I was like, I want to be able to help them grow and build their own thing. And that's really the investment philosophy, aligning with operators and entrepreneurs and creators in any industry, giving them time and money to grow. Because usually people are over-advised and under-capitalized.
Absolutely.
And you know, people honestly need money more than they need advice. So that's where we come in. So holla at me.
Yeah. We here at Revolt is pretty similar. We will build, but there's so many Black people doing dope things. It's like, why are we starting from scratch?
Yeah.
Every opportunity we can to find someone to invest in, to build together. It's definitely more where I want to spend time versus trying to start from scratch.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I have a great time meeting and speaking to the other entrepreneurs that we invest in. It's great.
So you mentioned wanting to be kind of like the Def Jam for this era. I've heard you talk about wanting to be the Motown for this era. What is the spiritual or cultural responsibility that you feel comes with that idea?
I think it's truth. I think it's being real. You know, I think we have some great executives and people from our past, but you know, also I don't think everybody's done the right business or done things the wrong way. And plus, all businesses have changed their structure. So I think it's ways of making sure everybody can have a piece of the pie and really be able to claim ownership. Like I said, I want to redefine what that means. It's not you have all of it. It's not I have all of it. Let's be partners and let's actually grow something that we could all have a piece of, where all of our kids can actually benefit from, and we're growing community off that and growing from there. So yeah.
Yeah, there's this idea, linked prosperity, I very much believe in,
Okay.
right? It's one of the reasons why Revolt has become an employee-owned
I heard
company.
that,
It's
yeah.
like when we win, if Revolt wins, we want every employee, every creator, all of us to win, right?
Yeah.
And then I also believe in shared adversity. When we're going through tough times, everybody got to like
Yeah.
knuckle down and figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
But hopefully, we're spending more of our time in the linked prosperity era.
Yeah, I
versus the
say,
shared
you
adversity.
know, like I say, like, you know, we don't own artists. We're the creative advisors. We're their advisory board. You know, when it's art, the person making the art dictates what it is. You know, it's like if you would have a board, your board's gonna be hard on you about things, but ultimately it's your decision to put it out there. But you're making the art, and then we are there to advise you and push you to be great. And you know, I look at everybody I work with, either on the investor side or the creator side, like we are partners, and we're gonna lock in with you. When things are good, we're gonna celebrate. When things are down, we gotta have a talk, and then you know we just grow from there.
Let's get into LVRN, but before that, what was your biggest entrepreneurial hustle before Love Renaissance? What was the starting point?
Let's see, it went from selling candy. I was the candy man, Capri Suns, Twix, Snickers. If you want it, I had it. Honey Buns too. Then I went to selling CDs. My father was a computer engineer, so we had multiple computers around the house. So I figured out, you know, because Napster, sorry. I figured out how to get all the songs, and people knew me as a guy who had all the music. So people would just hand me their list, and I would sell like a mix CD of like 10, 15 songs for like $15. So you give me the list Monday, on Friday, had it, and I used to kill it. And that went to everybody kind of know me as a guy with the candy and with the music. And you know, that led me into throwing parties. You know, one day I went to a party that I kind of went to on a regular once a month, and the security guard just had a problem with me, and he wouldn't let me in. I was like, I bet this ain't never gonna happen to me again. So I hit the homies. I said, yo, next month is homecoming. We gotta throw a party. And they were like, why? And I was like, we gotta throw it on the same day as him. And so we did it. You know, asked my mom, I was like, hey, I need the basement, because basement parties were the thing. And so my mom let me use the basement, and two other of my friends, Toby, who's actually brand I'm wearing, Mifflin, and the other homie. And the party was a success. We called it Reggae Town. Because that time, dance hall and reggae were the thing, and that's what everybody was into. And it sold off. My mom ran the door, helped us collect money. We had one security guard. I DJ'd, the other homie sold Capri Suns and like water, and the other homie helped my mom run the door. And yeah, that's how I got into party promotions after that. So yeah.
Mom running the door is crazy.
Gangster.
I love that. Okay, part of that story is the genesis is, one, you weren't allowed to do something, so that inspires you to throw this party. But you could have picked any day to throw a party. You chose to throw it on the exact same day. Is that just pettiness, or is there a business strategy behind why you wanted to go head to head?
Earlier in my life, I was very petty. And it was only to prove a point, but also it was the biggest day, homecoming of the year, to throw a party. So business-wise, I knew there was gonna be spillover, because everybody couldn't fit in his event. And his event was known as like more so like where all the cool people go. And I was like, all right, cool, let's play towards the other side, because he's gonna have spillover, and everybody isn't deemed as cool, especially in high school. What ended up happening is, because there was nothing new at the time, everybody was like, shoot, I'm gonna go mess with Tunde. He's the candy man, the CD man. He's doing something different. He's doing it in the basement. So we ended up, you know, taking some of his crowd, the spillover, just the energy and everything, and it just really gave me a new mindset of just like, oh, like I can we can figure things out on our own and just go from there with the help of, you know, my mom. So yeah.
With mom's help.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go Candyman, CD Man. This is a pivot to not just making the CDs, but throwing the party, being the place, the location for everyone to come
Yeah.
to. What gave you the confidence that you could be the next big promoter, the next big place that everybody wanted? Coming off of candy and CDs, right? There's a pivot, right? You're expanding your business territory. What gave you the confidence that you could do it?
The confidence was, one, I wanted to really see if I could just do stuff on my own. There is a will to win. There is a will to help my family out, help my parents out. I actually, you know, I had like a few retail jobs, and I ended up quitting them or getting fired because I stopped going. Because, and by the way, it wasn't a plan. I just was chasing something. At that time, I didn't know what it was. It was just like, I want more. I want for myself. I want to figure it out. And, you know, the life of a party promoter isn't a gracious one. You know, as I said, you know, the Reggae Town party did well. I think I made like $2,000 off that. And then I threw another party next month and I lost it all. That's what people don't tell you. You know, I lost it all. And from there, I learned a lot. And, you know, it started to become successful to the point that I did that for about 8 years. You know, from when about 5, 8 years from when I graduated high school up until college, and, you know, turned it into a real business where we ended up booking a bunch of artists, and I've become a pretty popular DJ in the city, and just doing a bunch of things that got me into like the next step, which was, you know, being a full-fledged music executive.
So on the party scene, first shot out the game is a win.
Yes.
Second shot is a massive loss.
Big loss.
Why doesn't Tunde quit after that loss?
Why did I do that? I already saw the win. So it's like, you know, with every win, there's going to be losses. And losses to me really aren't a loss, it's a lesson. It's like, cool, I'm not going to do that again. I overextended myself. I should have went back to the basement. I ran a venue. Why would I do that? You know, but it's me trying to go bigger and be greedy. When people came to the party because it was exclusive, it was fun, it was a basement, it felt intimate. I was trying to go too big, too fast. So I learned, I was like, let me scale it back down. So we started to get warehouses, sweaty warehouses, bad AC, you would sweat all night, but it was fun and people loved it. And we grew from there because it would be so packed and everybody would be like, I could not get in. It was so packed, the music was good, and it spread. And so I learned, like, word of mouth is your biggest promotion. You can't, you know, you could post flyers all the time, you could text people, but when people are like, yo, you have to go to this, there's a bit of FOMO behind it, and it starts to grow, and that really helped us out.
So is there anything you've learned in your career around how to consistently generate that FOMO? Word of mouth is definitely powerful. You learned it at a very young age. Have you discovered a repeatable framework or process or mechanism for how to consistently generate FOMO so that whatever you're doing, jerking Joe off, concert with Summer Walk, whatever that is the place that people want to be?
Scarcity, especially when you're introducing like a new product. I think when we first started, now you have to be in front of folks' face, for sure. But, you know, back then, I think when we were coming up, scarcity was a thing. I'll kind of speed up. Again, like 2011, 12 is when myself and my friends discovered Frank Ocean and The Weeknd. We were like, wow. We were like, this is phenomenal. But it was so like mysterious. It was kind of scarce. You couldn't find it. It was through a mixtape. You had to like get it from your friend, word of mouth. And that took me back to when I first started because all our stuff was word of mouth. And I think it's consistent that back then, I think if you got your friends on board and they loved it, they would tell their friends and it would spread. So I think depending on the business model and what we're doing, we always find a space for scarcity. And the scarcity let us introduce things early on without having to take a big risk to make sure it was proven. Then we scale. So, and I'm just thinking about it. That wasn't like a that wasn't like a process. It was just something that we tried out and kept trying, and just just trial and error amongst yourself really helped out a lot.
Okay, so now get me to the launch of LVRN. What was the genesis of the idea? How does it all come together?
Wow, so it's crazy. Story. I was interning for Jeff Dixon, Shaka Zulu, and Ludacris at DTP. Myself and Sean, who's my first business partner, he is who I started to throw parties with in college. At the time, we were managing our artists, and one of the A&Rs, Paris Kirk, wanted us to want to sign the artist. Ended up not happening. We ended up starting intern at DTP. Shouts out to those guys for really taking us in and like giving us a home. At that time, Sean and myself were known as the guys who kind of made it out of party promotions, but we had one foot in, one foot out. So we could sign producers and writers and stuff because me and Sean ran the publishing company. So now we had this kind of fake made it title because we were really like faking it till we made it. And but we at least had some type of music know-how because we immersed ourselves in DTP, asking questions, learning, getting in trouble a lot of times, but from the trouble, learned a lot. And it's crazy because my other partners, Justice Jr., Carlin, already had Love Renaissance. That's not something that I was a part of at the beginning, but there was a mutual friend that introduced all of us again, because we already knew each other because everybody kind of came up throwing parties at Georgia State. I didn't go there. I just went there to pass out flyers. And this mutual friend was like, you guys have so much similarities about each other. Please talk and meet, because these guys have a dope artist that I think Sean and Tunde, you guys would love. So we sat down and then we just was like, let's just all be partners. Let's just all be partners and let's just rock out. Because Sean and I had some music know-how, but just the culture point and the music we liked, the way we dressed was all just in the same space that we were like, let's just do it. And that was Love Renaissance at the time. We were just managers. We were a collective. It was like 12 of us just all coming together. Like somebody was the publicist, somebody was a photographer. And that went back to the village concept of everybody coming together to just play a part and investing time, sweat equity into an artist at the time. His name was Rory. And Rory would best be described as like if Nirvana and like Andre 3000 had a child. It was very alternative. The time in 2013, it was very EDM driven and very like Weekend, Future, Dirty Sprite. So it was dark. And that's where Love Renaissance came from too. A renaissance on love, because we felt like people weren't speaking to women or speaking about love. And this was such a alternative or opposite from how people viewed Atlanta, which was trapped out. So with that, we all came together and we launched this artist who just looked different from everything. East side of Atlanta, straw hat, guitar, everybody's minds were blown. And that was the beginning of Love Renaissance.
12 guys come together to create a company. It's very difficult to see that happen these days. Like, you know, during post George Floyd, I feel like Black people were having a really special moment. For me, the best thing would have been for several of us to come together, link our companies together, and figure out how to get scale and massive really quickly, so that when we stepped into the moment we're in, we were ready. Very difficult to get people to stop building their own islands and come together. Why did this group believe that you guys were stronger together versus operating as individuals?
Hmm. At this point, it's only 5 of the original 12, but the 12 were like people who worked a job or whatever. But everybody was Love Renaissance. It wasn't about equity. It was more so how much time and energy was putting in. So everybody had jobs, and that came over time. But ultimately, it was a thought of if we all put our brain power together, we can figure this out ultimately. And we used to have these meetings every Sunday. These meetings used to be about 6 hours. And we would sit there hot in the guy's apartment, just coming up with every idea and concept, testing different theories and whatnot, calling people to be like, hey, can we get this done? Being on the internet, scouring, trying to research things, watching music videos to figure out why we like certain things, breaking down certain people's albums and concepts, and really figuring out how we can get people's attention on what we were trying to sell them without selling it to them. And most of us had like a marketing background. Some of us were just smart and like what we did, but it just went back to a community. And some of those people aren't with us anymore because they just chose to do other things. And those are still a bunch of our friends till this day, and that just goes back to, I think, the love and community that we just exude as people. And it's the concept of just about love renaissance. It's not just about one person. It's really about everybody in the village. Yeah.
When do you feel like Love Renaissance made it? Like, is it a certain artist and an album that does, performs well? Is it a concert and walking in and seeing tens of thousands? Like, when is the moment where you all look around and go, we did it?
I've honestly had that moment every year I've been doing music. This is crazy with me thinking about it. Because I always have a vision, I always think ahead. But when you hit it, it's like, damn, we did that. Like when Rory got his first deal, cool. When we discovered drum, we had a song called Cha Cha and Broccoli ended up going 8 times platinum. It's like, oh, we did that, and his deal was crazy. And then finding Black, him living in our apartment for 2 years, putting in his 10,000 hours in his own way, us coming back from a trip from Australia and him playing us Problems, his first single, and being like, we were like, whoa. And that Black was the first artist on LVRN Records, because all the other artists were management artists. So we put our own money up for Black and signed him to the label, and we launched him independently. And that took off, and then we signed our joint venture with Interscope at the time. And I was just like, oh, we have a label deal? This is what I used to always look up to with So Def, DTP and whatnot. We have our own thing. Us launching LVRN Studios in 2017 with us having our own building and us employing 10 people. That was crazy. Like, me being responsible for folks' salaries, scary, at the time. So then every year since, it's been like that. And of course, I think the biggest one as of yet is when we raised the money from Matt Pincus, and when we went fully independent, and just, having somebody valuing your company over $100 million is a pretty big feat.
Massive.
And that's, I'll be honest, that's not something that we sat down and like strategized at the beginning. It's just us sitting down and just working hard and just really paying attention, honestly having great business practices, being great people, and having really, really great taste in just music, culture, doing the right things, great relationships, and just being well versed in the world. And I tell people this, like, hard work and a little bit of luck. And a little bit of luck always comes around for us. So yeah.
You just listed a phenomenal list of accomplishments, and I know that that's just a handful of what is a large treasure trove of accomplishments. What are you the most proud of, not in terms of what you accomplished and what you built, but how you built it? what are you the most proud of in terms of the how?
I will say that, in a sense, I don't know if I could say how, but if 21-year-old Tunde was going to meet Tunde up today, he would be so excited. And, you know, that's so important to me because that age, I dream, but even everything that I've accomplished is just like, whoa. You know, sometimes a lot of my friends be like, yo, slow down. My mom would call me and be like, yo, are you okay? I'm like, she's like, I just heard you did XYZ. Are you gonna chill and celebrate? I was like, oh, she's like, that's not old Tunde. That's pretty big. You know, be happy. So I would just say that I'm just very excited that my young self would be very proud of who I became.
Young self would be proud of the man that you've become.
Yep.
When you look in the mirror at Tunde, who do you see? Not Tunde the executive, but Tunde the man. Who do you see today?
A very proud, confident, just happy individual that is now in a space of building legacy and something for other people to be proud of, and just helping them figure out what's going to make them proud and helping them achieve that. You know,
as you continue to build legacy, what does success look like to you? How do you know you're winning? Early on, it might be the money, it could be the clothes, it could be, like today, how do you measure yourself in terms of success?
The kids, like when I'm somewhere, stop and randomly I'm stopping and be like, yo, are you Tunde? LVRN? I'm like, yeah. They'd be like, yo, I love what you guys did here. When somebody breaks down what we've been doing, it's like, oh, bet. Thank you. And they're like really in tune. Like, I love how you guys roll that out. I love this. I really look up to you. I really look up to your business partners. I love how you guys stay together, which is always a big thing. You know, I'm very lucky that I'm able to work with my best friends. Literally, like my business partners, all my best friends. And that's probably the best thing I could ever hope for.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
In a world of wins, in a world where people can look at the work you do and celebrate it, break it down for you, talk about your achievement, what is something you think that everyone is overlooking or has overlooked about your story or overlooked about your path here?
I don't know if people know how hard we work. You know, we don't talk as much. You know, even me doing this, thank y'all, like I had to find time to really do it because I'm always working. And, you know, our publicist, some people on our team was like, y'all gotta start talking. Like, y'all be getting it. You have to say what y'all been doing, you know, being one of the last, you know, own Black labels that operate on a major level globally. You know, right now, I say we probably got one of the hottest rappers out of Atlanta coming out, Billy Gang Kush. Caesar, one of my artists in South Africa, has had the #1 song in the country for like 9 weeks. Odile, one of our R&B artists, R&B Afro artists, is breaking out of London and everywhere else in the world. Summer Walker's about to come out and drop her biggest album. I can go on and on and on, but we're just so work focused that we don't say it because we think like the work speaks for itself. But in this world where you have everybody trying to figure out what they're going to pay attention to, you know, you have to say it so people can know, because I need people to be motivated and know what we do and like how we got there, so they really understand what it takes. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to doing more things.
Yeah, we're gonna keep building, and you're gonna keep telling your story.
Facts.
But what do you say to the young kid that wants to be Tunde? He's in the basement right now with nothing but a vision and a dream, and he's watching you right now. What message do you have for him about his future and how you can motivate him to take advantage of or to pursue his dreams?
Your future's bright. Have that mind state. Don't let anybody deter you. You only fail when you quit. And just learn from every mistake. Believe in yourself. Find your community. Very, very, very important. Find your community. I don't think anybody cares about what you do on your own. And that's just a hard way. And usually you don't really do things on your own. You really have people that help you. And when you really identify who your community is, things become a lot more fun on your journey and a lot easier. And just execute. Execute every idea. Do not wait. Like, do all your ideas. And does not have to involve money. The root of every idea is free. You can do it at the scale you can operate at, but get it all out your head, and that will help you develop more creativity and give you the confidence to do more things. Every idea that you let die, I believe, kills your inner child. And everybody needs that inner child to keep them curious, to be able to do things and push themselves. So just do everything that you want to do, ultimately.
We talked Jerk and Jollof. We talked new artists. We talked existing artists. Is there anything else that you're working on right now that the world doesn't know, but when it launches, you definitely know they're going to feel it?
Yeah, last week I was recently in Barcelona, and I met with the president, the vice president, and the players of FC Barcelona. We talked, and we're working on some amazing, incredible things that I can't wait to really introduce from just the music and the textile and just across all industries. And it goes back to global Blackness once again, because it just really talks about the structures we have in place and what we can develop for ourselves globally, be able to build our own businesses, and once again, own ourselves and own our narrative. And, people seeing me there are like, what? Young people are like, what? How'd you do that? You can do that too. You can for sure do that too. It's all about putting it in your mind and pushing yourself. I'm lucky to be, somebody that folks look to gain that confidence, and I'm looking forward to doing it a lot more.
Yeah, look, massive global soccer brand 1 year before the World Cup. Sounds like an incredible partnership. Right time, right everything.
Yeah, for sure.
King, I've appreciated the conversation. Is there anything that you didn't get to say that you wanted to say before we get out of here? I wish I could keep the convo going forever, but I know we got to wrap. Anything you want to leave the audience with?
Shouts out to my mom, my dad, my siblings, my business partners, Amber, Justice, Sean, Carlin, Jr., just my whole team. Love Renaissance. There's everybody out there that's trying to figure it out, whether you have your own business or creative industry. Just don't stop. If you really believe that you can do it, like I said once again, you only fail when you quit. And if you see me, feel free to come talk to me or just holler at me online.
Tunde, brother.
Yes.
I have been watching the work that you guys have been doing at LVRN for quite some time. For me personally, it's been an honor to have you here in Revolt Studios. I love, there's a lot of ways that I think we are like-minded. One of them is just this idea about how we potentially partner together to take over the world. Right? People not worried about territory or fiefdom, but really how we work together. So I hope this is just the beginning of a beautiful relationship and a conversation. But the conversation was great. Appreciate you, King.
Thanks.
You're always welcome back here at Revolt Studios.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bro.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Great conversation with Tunde Balogun, CEO of Love Renaissance. Exciting the things that they're working on, from the label, new artists, global blackness as an idea, jerking Jollof as a new investment opportunity. I'm just so thrilled and excited to see what Tunde and the team are doing. When I think back on that conversation, there are 3 ideas that come top of mind. 1, the power of evolution. Tunde has always been an entrepreneur, from selling candy. Then he transitioned from candy to selling CDs. Then he transitioned from selling CDs to throwing a party in his basement where his mom helped him run the door, all the way into the executive that we see today. But there's this idea that we should always be free and open to the evolution of identifying the magic in ourselves and who we're supposed to be. 2, there's this idea around the power of the tribe. Whether you want to go back to his origin story where he talks about how whole family lived on the same block, all the way to where we are with LVRN, where different groups of people all doing their thing, all come together in what was then 12, but now 5. But this idea that the tribe is important, that you have to find a way to find your community. He actually says, I don't think people really care what you do on your own. When you find your community, things become a lot more fun on your journey. And so I think everyone's got to find our tribe for support. Our tribe makes things fun. And ideally, you have a tribe that helps you get to your final destination. 3, he talked about this notion of the power of scarcity. You know, when we were talking about how he made things pop, he said, we're always trying to find a space for scarcity. Scarcity is what makes the word of mouth engine work. He talked about word of mouth being your biggest promotion, but also embedded in there was this idea that when you do things based on scarcity, it's not massive scale. When it's not massive scale, it's not massive investment. So not only are you getting the FOMO word of mouth engine going, but you're also exploring the smallest version of your idea so that you don't end up blowing what capital that you have. I thought that was a very ingenious idea in terms of how to make an idea pop.